Welcome to Ngosti Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Welcome to Ngozi Talk Shows, everyone. My name is Nomsa Clara Mnibe. If it is your first time on our channel, please subscribe to our channel. And at Ngozi Talk Shows, we talk about all different subjects from all walks of life. And we talk about anything, everything really. And today with me, I have Amanda. Please, Amanda, introduce yourself to our audience.
Good morning from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It is 6 a.m. here. I am a teacher, an author, and an illustrator, and I help people find their own unique creative capacities within themselves. And I've also just started, I'm going to start doing some collaborative book projects, so I'm really excited about starting that journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amanda. So our topic today is how to overcome fear. So fear, basically, some people basically, they live in fear. They feel like there are some people all the time, they feel like the world is crumbling down, and they look at other people and they're like, "Well, how come this person is able to do this, is able to do this, but I'm not able to do this?" So if you are that someone, please stay tuned. And Amanda, you chose this topic, so I would like to would you like to share to our audience why you chose this topic? Normally, people choose the topic because of something that is going on or something that they feel that someone might need to listen to. So what is your story?
Well, one of the reasons is because I co-authored a book and illustrated it called I Am Fearless, Yoga Story for Kids and Superheroes. And that's to help kids overcome fears by using I am statements to really empower themselves. But another thing is that there's been a lot of fear going on in the world the last couple of years, and I think that there's a lot we need to really work on some strategies to overcome fear. And for me, starting something new with my collaborative book projects that I'm going to be starting and hopefully getting into schools, I have a little bit of fear of being like, oh, am I ready for this? And do I have the skills for it? Am I going to make the right connections to make this work? And there's a little bit of fear around that, but I also I'm excited for it too. So there's like these mixed emotions, and I think that's the reason why I picked this topic, because I think that sometimes we can be paralyzed by fear, and one of the things that paralyzes me when I always have these ideas of all these different things that I could do, or that I could to make extra money on the side, or to start a business, and part of that paralyzation is that I'm like, oh, there's so much to do, I don't know where to start. And so then that fear factor comes in, and then my ideas fizzle out. And so it's really pushing through that fear. And in the course that I'm working on right now, they call it the terror barrier. So you have to get through this terror barrier to help you get to the next level, and to push through all of those fears of being not good enough, those fears of, am I smart enough? And one of the things I always go to automatically is, oh, I need to go take some courses on this. And I'm like, no, I literally have 3 university degrees. I should be able to figure this out without having to pay to take more courses for this. And not that there isn't things that I should be taking courses for, because I'm always learning and always, but there's so much you can learn just off of YouTube and the internet, and finding the right people and connecting with the right people, and tiny courses here and there that you can take. And there's so many like instruction things on what you can do. It's amazing. You just need to like step into that fear and start working towards your dreams and working towards things that you want to achieve. So that's kind of why I picked this topic, is because I think that when we start something new, there's always that fear inside of us, and that's kind of how I've been feeling lately.
It is so true, Amanda. That is so true. You know, when you start something from the beginning, there's always the fear if you're going to succeed or if you're doing the right thing. There's so many emotions that goes on when it comes to starting new products. And for me, basically, I used to feel like that before, and I used to basically, when I'm starting something, I'll have this fear if I was enough or if people are going to take me serious. Sometimes I'll have fear, like if I tell people about what I'm starting to do, how are they going to respond, and how am I going to be able, if someone responds negative, how am I going to basically take the news? If someone is responding negative towards me, how is it going to affect me? So I used to have all these things going round and round in my head. But since I started meditating a lot, for me, basically, if I'm sleeping, I'm playing. That's why I was suggesting before we went online that you need to put earphones on. I basically put my earphones on when I'm sleeping. I look around and see everyone is sleeping, because if I'm playing music, I'm going to wake them up. So then I put my earphones on and I make sure my earphones are charged, and I play it for 4 hours in my sleep. So when I wake up, I wake up and the music is still playing. If I look at the time, it's 4 hours or 5 hours, I switch it off. So basically, I play it all night. Basically, sometimes I play the meditation to massage my head, or to awaken my inner being. So it helps me to be aware, like when the fear is approaching. It helps me. Sometimes it will help me to see the energy that is not mine and the energy that is mine. So then I can actually, it separates me from, like we live everyday life, and sometimes you go to places and you attract all these bad energies and stuff. And sometimes you can have this fear of things and you think it's you. And I had no clue until Carol Annie told me about the brain exercises and meditation. So I went on YouTube and find it. The minute I started playing this meditation, I could feel something leaving. And since I've been playing it, I'm able to realize, sometimes I laugh. I'm able to realize, like, if I'm fearing something, you can see the fear is separated from me. So I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So it's like the different energies. Like if you have been going through, there's a meditation, like you've been going through challenges, so you can play it. If you have going through whatever childhood trauma, you can play that and listen to that. So I've been listening to meditation based on my circumstances, based on what has been going on. And it's actually helping me with dealing with the fear. Like if I want to make a decision, I can feel that, yes, there is fear. The fear is there, but I use it. It helps me awakening my inner being. It helps me to actually use the fear to work on my benefits. because I can just look at myself and look at my behavior and just work on that one and just fix whatever I feel, whatever the fear that I'm fearing. I just work on it and fix it. If I'm aware that there's some things that I can do it, but something tells me within that, no, so you can't. So I'm like, I talk to myself, I'm like, no, I can. And I could feel that, basically, I could feel that I'm being challenged. I'm being challenged by my own inner being, because it's the person that I've believed before that accepted the fear. And basically you can work towards being, I'm not sure there's such thing as, you can be fearless, but there will still be a little bit left. I'm fearless, but there's still a little bit left within that I can feel. So I don't know if you have any comment, Amanda. But when it comes to the book that you've written, I think we should have had to learn this from our childhood, but we didn't. It helps really well because it becomes a child's roots. If they're learning, like if I'm reading a book from a very young age, I can actually be fearless. So it makes me actually believe it. And that is something, a habit that will carry me for the rest of my life, knowing that I've written a book written by Amanda, that I can actually be fearless. So it does help. So thank you so much for.
The book talks a lot about, like, when I'm feeling unbalanced, I can do this. When I'm
Yeah,
feeling this, I can do this. And
yeah,
so it's talking about, like, working through that fear,
yeah,
right? Towards the I am fearless, because really, when you work through those, and I agree with you, there's always like a tiny little bit of fear within us. But you can let go of it by doing
yeah,
different things. And it has all these different yoga poses to help with all of the I am statements about how you're feeling, and what you can do, and what you can do within yourself, and pull that fear out of you by doing different things, and by calming your mind, and by meditating, and by doing different breathing techniques even. But yeah, I know what you mean too. When you first start, you had a lot of those different fears, and now you're starting to be like, I don't care, I'm just gonna do it and not care what anybody else thinks. And I think that's something that we grow into. Like, some people have that from a very young age, and some people don't. And I'm definitely not one of those people who who was able to just be like, I don't have fear, and go through things. Especially when it comes to, like, putting myself out there, and believing that my work is good enough. I think that's something that that has really been hard to overcome. And
yeah,
I know that different things, like, I would never stand up and talk in front of people, and now I'm talking. And like, I remember in university, I one time raised my hand in this ethics class, and the professor was like, why don't you talk more? And I was like, the fact that I even raised my hand in class is like once a year type of thing, and now I'm talking weekly, and I think that's something that's really a fear that I've overcome. It is speaking out in public, and speaking up for myself, and speaking about what I have to share, because
yeah,
the professor was like, you need to share more, you have, like, really insightful things. And I'll always remember that class, because he was one of the reasons that I started to think, oh, maybe I should speak up more, because all of my teachers all throughout school, it was always like, Amanda's so shy, Amanda doesn't talk in class. um, and so I was the opposite of the kids that get, this person enjoys the social aspects of school,
yeah,
and enjoys visiting with their friends, right? I was the opposite of that kid. But yeah, I think that you have different experiences that give you more strength, and give you that ability to question those fears within yourself. And I know, when I was doing my master's degree, I overcame a great big fear of speaking, and that's when I started feeling more comfortable speaking in front of people. And one of the big things that got me to be like, I'm not scared of speaking in front of people anymore, is I was presenting with a group, and each member of the group had these different parts to share, and this one member of the group didn't do any of the work, and I was 9 months pregnant, and I had worked so hard on this project, and he was like standing up there fumbling, and all of my group members were staring at each other being like, what are we doing? We like don't want him to ruin our day. And so the 9-month pregnant lady, me, stands up and says, sit down. This person's going to explain the rest of it. And this is what we're trying to say. And that person sat down, and the person in my group that knew what was going on and actually had done the work stood up and presented the other person's part. And I presented part of it too, because I was like, this guy didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I am not losing my A. And afterwards, my group was like, thank you so much. Like, all of us were thinking it, but nobody had the guts to stand up. And I was like, here's the thing. I'm 9 months pregnant, and there's no way that I'm not getting my A. Like, I have worked too hard for this to sit down and care what anybody else thinks. And sometimes that's something like that just gets you like out of that fear thing where it's like, I've worked so hard for this and I'm going to get it no matter what. And so, yeah, that's my story. And they were like, why did you stand up? And I was like, because nobody is going to tell the 9-month pregnant lady to sit down. Nobody. Like, it is my due date today, and I'm at the university presenting. My daughter was 10 days late. So, yeah, and my group was so thankful for that I stood up, because they were like, we were all thinking it, but nobody had the guts to stand up. So I just look at it as, if I wasn't pregnant, 9 months pregnant, I probably wouldn't have either. But I was like, I am not passing, like getting my A in this class, because I've worked so hard, and I'm like emotional, and my baby should have already come by now. So all that fear just washed away, and I was like, I'm doing this. And I think sometimes we get to that point where we are just like, I can do this. I'm going to do this no matter what. And when I started writing books, that's something that happened too. And it's overcoming those fears and being able to be like, it's not perfect, but I'm learning as I go. And each book that I write and each book that I illustrate, it gets better and better, right? So I started, and I look back on my original book, and I'm like, oh, those illustrations, I need to, like, I could go back and fix them all and like critique everything, but I know that the next book that I'm doing is just that much better, and then the next book will be that too. So we have to understand that we're learning, right? When you first start playing the piano, you can barely play a note, and then as you keep practicing, you get better and better and better. And that's the same with anything that you start. So you can't just look at what somebody who's already doing it and very successful at it and be like, oh, mine isn't like theirs, so I'm not going to do it. You have to start somewhere, and they started somewhere too. And that's something that we have to realize. When I talk to kids about my books, they're like, wow, it's like a published book, and it's in our library. And and I say to them, like, you don't, like, they're like, but my work doesn't look like that. And then I show them the process. I show them the, like, journal that I scribbled down the original writing in, and it looks exactly the same as their scribbled work. And then I show them, like, the next step where I type it onto my computer, and the next step where I sketch it into my sketchbook, and the next step where I put it onto my iPad. And I always sketch on paper still first, for whatever reason. I find it grounds me. But then I do all the color and stuff on my iPad. Whereas when I originally started, I didn't have an iPad to be able to do the artwork as professionally looking. So I just worked with what I had in that moment, and still continued along my goal and to what I wanted to achieve. And I think that's something that we really need to consider too, is that sometimes we can't be like, oh, I'll do this when I get that. It's like, no, you need to start now. With the tools that you have, and as you go, things will start coming to you that you need, and you will get better and better and better as you continue to practice.
actually agree with you, Amanda. Basically, I wrote a book, but for me, it was a therapy. It was like my biography, and I was going through divorce, and there was fear of the unknown. And I remember just basically when just looking at things and evaluating everything and basically thinking that I need a new start, and there was fear of the unknown. So I had to write a book from the day I was born. I used to ask my mom what happened the day I was born, so I had to write a book from there up to the age of 28. But I banned the book because that was part of me confronting my fears. So I wrote a book, basically biography, and I did all the process of publishing. And once when I found the publisher, that was me saying it is the end. So I banned. Actually, I kept the book. I said I posted the book because they say you have to send a copy to show the original that you are the original writer. Send it to you. So I went and sent the copy to me, and I kept that copy. I deleted it from my computer, and I kept that copy since I think last year. So I burned it in my garden, basically when we were moving house. So I burned that, basically saying goodbye to my fears. But when I wrote the book, it was me confronting the NOMSA that was inside of me that I had forgotten. I was someone, like when I was growing up, I became a professional musician at the age of 10. And I used to go to bed. Sometimes I look back and I ask my granddad, what was he thinking? Because I used to go to bed like at the age of 9, 12 midnight or 1 a.m. And I needed to be at school by 9. And I didn't complain, and I was fine because he realized actually this is what I wanted. So he decided to train me. So we'll go for the training, like maybe 30 students. And so he taught me how to lead. So I'll be doing that. And I didn't have any problems. I was young, and there were people that were older than me. I wasn't afraid of going take the mic and lead them when we get hired to sing. And but I wasn't afraid, and if I go to the pitch and played football, I wouldn't be afraid. But when it comes to when I'm around people, like what you're saying, like I'm shy, I thought I was shy. And when I'm around people, I'll find people, they talk too much about themselves, so I'll basically shut down when people talks a lot about themselves, and I'll be like, there's no room for me to speak, and then I'll just shut down and I won't talk. And basically that was me for, I think I came to the UK 2002, and that was me for that 2002 until 2009. And when I was going through divorce, there were so many fears, so I had to write my biography, and I wrote it, and I'm glad that I did. I had to confront the fears, and there were tears when I write it. I wasn't the agenda when I was writing it, I thought I wanted to publish it, but as I was going through the journey, I was like, no, this is for me, this is my therapy. And when I'm ready, I'm gonna pen this. And when I'm ready, I'm gonna write a different biography, but not this one. So I had to write it, and I wrote it, and after I finished, and I could see that there was no that I had a bad habit that I had adopted, and I had to get rid of that. And getting rid of that NOMSA, NOMSA, growing up in Africa, I grew up basically, if somebody comes and tell me off, I just laugh. I wouldn't get angry. I wouldn't fear them. I wouldn't do anything. I would just laugh and say, you know what? This person is crazy. That's how I saw when somebody, but when I came here, getting older, becoming an adult, starting to become a follower, the attitude changes. You want to fit in. I basically started trying to fit in with my friends. They look cool, and we go out and they wear like, those tops. I'm a Christian, honey, and I see this, they go out and the tops that shows boobies. I'm like, I'm in. I go and buy the top that shows boobies. I'm following. And then in 2009, and I was like, what the heck am I doing? I am fearing not being accepted by these people. And my friends, I'm trying to fit in. So that was the identity that I realized, that actually I'm trying to fit in. And these people haven't got a clue that this is the attitude, that this is how I feel. I don't know how they feel, but at that moment I felt that I'm trying to fit in. I was trying so hard to be something that I'm not. And if we go out, we have a discussion, we talk about men, we talk about boyfriends, the poor boy that I'm dating, whatever my friend comments, I'm gonna just bruise him. When I get home, I'm gonna give him the attitude. And because of what is being said, because of our conversation, not realizing that I'm picking the better habit from people. And when I get home, with the fear of communicating myself, my want, my desires, the poor guy is going to get the silence, is going to get the attitude, is going to get all sorts of things. But I wouldn't fight. I wouldn't fight. I kept that attitude of not fighting that I was taught by my parents. You don't fight people. I wouldn't fight a man. So, but the silent, Amanda, I don't know. Have you ever done silence to a man?
I ever done silence to
To a man, like when you are dating someone, have you ever like done silence and like you're not talking to them when they get home, like you don't want to talk, like when they talk to you, like you give them attitude?
Oh yeah, my ex-husband for sure.
When I look
I
back,
actually
I'm like,
blocked him off
what's
my
the
phone for
heck was
a
that?
year and a half. He only could communicate with
It's
me by
fear. It's actually fear. I realize that all these are happy to that. It's actually fear. When you fear something, you try to protect yourself, and you want to basically, you want to show the person that actually, actually, I'm proving that I'm right. And I'm not gonna talk to you until you apologize. And the poor person is not done anything.
Oh. No, I definitely had to set some boundaries with people and say like I need some space, and that's
Yeah,
something that I've done for sure. I like how you talk about the bit of feeling like you need to conform, because I think that's something that so many people do right all of the time. It's something that we start to see is in early elementary school, and it like seems to highlight in junior high and high school, um, and then you really step into your own and who you are as you continue to grow. And I think some people are able to step into their own power a lot younger. I know I have one friend, and one time my mom's like, she's weird. This was only a couple years ago. I said, the reason that I love April is because she is unapologetically herself all of the time. She doesn't bend to societal rules. She doesn't, like, she has been successful because she is unapologetically herself. And she just is like, she just radiates that confidence, and I just love that about her. um and as I've got to know her even more, she also is like, she's like me, where she's like an introvert, but also like seems like she's very extroverted. And but in reality she's very introverted. And I was like, wow, like that's so interesting, because on social media and everything it seems like you're this complete extroverted person, but
yeah,
in real life you're very like you've got this mixture of both. And it's so interesting to see as you get to know people too, when they are energetically themselves. And that's something that I've learned to step into my own power with too, because I, like, my friends are like, you're so weird, like you hang out with us while we're drinking, or like like for somebody's birthday or something, and I drive everybody home, and they're like, how do you put up with us? And I'm like, it's because I only, like, you guys only get like this once or twice a year for like two people's
yeah,
birthdays.
and
And like, I'm more
yeah,
than happy to stay up all night with you guys and drive you home and make sure you get home safely, because I don't drink. It's not my thing.
And you
And
don't
they're
judge
like,
them either. You accept them for who they are because they're showing you
absolutely. I'm
for
like,
who they are.
I'm like, these nights are so fun. I wouldn't do it every weekend, but like twice a year, I'm all in. I will stay up all night with you and we will sleep all day the next day because it's about enjoying who you guys are authentically and who I am too. I'm happy to stay up and to be part of the party for the whole night for certain people's birthdays, but it would never be my every weekend.
No.
Yeah, and even when we're snowboarding and skiing and stuff, I'm always like just me. Right? There was something else you were talking about. Oh, your book. You need to contribute to one of my next collaborative book projects because it is going to be empowering your life after separation and divorce. And so it might be the opposite story that you
Yeah,
wrote before, where
definitely. Now that
it's
I've
about like how you've empowered your life and only speaking from a positive perspective after ending a relationship. And so I'm going to get a bunch of different people to write a chapter of that book so that people who are going through a separation or divorce can really find stories that resonate with them about like, oh, once I get to the other side, they're actually, I
Yep,
really can be
there's
like,
hope. There
oh
is
my
a hope.
goodness, my life is a million times better because that relationship ended. Like, I'm so grateful for the ending of that relationship because
Yeah.
now I can truly step into my power. I can truly be who I am. I like, and just recognizing how much more healthy it is for you. And maybe in this moment you're not realizing that because you're stuck in that struggle of anger and fighting and the part, especially the messy part of divorce, where it's like fighting over the money or fighting over the child support or whatever it is, that all of those things where it's like, is this ever going to end? And then 5 years later or 8 years later, you're like, oh my goodness, this, like, I'm grateful every single day because I'm divorced every single day. And I couldn't be more grateful for that experience because it's allowed me to help so many other people. And so even though you may be going through something tough that you're fearing in this moment,
Yeah.
later on you'll come back and be like, wow, there was a reason for that. And the reason for that I can see now because now I'm able to help all these other people. I was able to write a children's book on divorce to help kids with divorce because I lived through that, and I want kids to understand that sometimes two homes can be better than one. Sometimes it actually, like, two happy, healthy homes is so much better than one unhealthy, toxic one. And so it's different for every person and everyone, and you have to really do what's right for you. But I know for me that for me and my daughter, having two separate homes is the most healthy space we could possibly be in. And so that's what works for us, and that's what I want people to be able to know and share, and to be able to step into your power. Like, if you think back, if you had stayed in your past relationship, would you ever have started your business, right? Would you have
I
started
think
the talk show?
my journey would have been completely different. I think I would have continued playing football. I think the friends that I have, everything would have been completely different because when my relationship wasn't working, I was getting frustrated and I was like breaking people's legs on the pitch when I go in and I'm frustrated. I want to score. You stop me, you go down, I score, and I get told off. But as long as I scored, but I was like, I'm taking my frustration on the pitch, and I think I need to. I remember basically walking out on the pitch and telling my football manager that I am retiring. And he was like, what did you just say? I was like, you heard me, I'm retiring. And I went home. I was like, I'm doing this. I think if I had stayed in my relationship, my path would have been completely different. I don't know what it would have been, how it would have been, but I think it would have been completely different. But I'm glad that I made that choice and to leave my life behind and start a new chapter, because I don't think I would have, as I basically studied psychology because I took Paul McKenna's programs, and I was like, this is very interesting. So I would like to dig more and find out basically what goes on behind the psychology and the fear that I had as well, because, you know, and the secret of basically coping with the divorce is leaving people out of it. That is the secret I found out, that when you are going through separation or divorce, leave the children out of it and leave friends or family out of it. Because at the end of the day, you end up fighting the battles that are not necessary. Honestly, I stopped talking to people when it comes to when I was divorcing, because you go and tell somebody you're trying to confide in somebody, and somebody tells you, you know what, you cannot just walk away, you have to fight. And I go and talk to somebody, and somebody says you can take him for everything. I was like, but you don't understand what I'm going through. It's not about the money. We are going through, like, basically we were getting stressed, and I was like, I need to stop talking. So, and I lost so many friends, because when I moved to Henley from where I lived in a 2-bedroom flat with my daughter and my friends. They came and they were like, are you normal? And I was like, yes. Why? And they were like, how can you walk away from the life that you have and coming to live? The town is beautiful, but live in a 2-bedroom flat. I was like, what's wrong with living in a 2-bedroom flat? If I'm changing, making life changes, I can't expect to live the same lifestyle that I had. Changes comes with pain. Changes comes with the sacrifice. Changes comes with the fear, but going through it. So I was like, I'm going through something. I can't say to this man, you need to give me the lifestyle that I have, or I can't say to myself, I expect the lifestyle that I had before. So I was like, I'm good with it. I'm okay with it. My daughter goes to a private school. What more can I ask for? I was like, I'm good. And I was like, she has her own bedroom. I have my own bedroom. I go out and she goes out. We make friends. I didn't see anything wrong. It's just, you know, when you're going through pain, Amanda, I think the mistakes that we make is, instead of focusing on what we are going through, we end up saying we deserve. For me, I didn't deserve anything when we were going through the divorce. He didn't deserve anything. All we deserved was the freedom. We needed freedom. That's how I saw life. That I need freedom. He needs freedom. And anything else. And I remember the only person that I could talk to, it was my mother-in-law with my troubles. Everybody else would be like, my mother-in-law, it was like very, very straightforward. Like, no, sir, you need to do what's best for your daughter. Because right now, whatever you guys are going through, your daughter is going to feel the pain. So here's the only person that my mom, I wouldn't speak to my mom. My mom loved his son-in-law very, very much. His love for him was so big. So I didn't want her to be heartbroken like me if I keep talking to her. So I had to find a way to actually work through fear. And that fear basically, it's not easy. I can't tell somebody that is something that is easy. You have to have a heart of love. If you want to go through the struggle and go through it, you have to keep the love. Just look back. when you when you met with the person, what was agreed? Love was agreed. There was no hurt. That was agreed. There was no fight. That was agreed. So you have to look back. For me, I had to look back and say, you know what? This has not worked. So I need to find a way to go through this, not to go around it, not fighting. And sometimes you could see that his friends started taking side. My friends started judging me that basically you don't just walk away from the life, because to them, you have to, when you are divorcing, it means you take somebody to court and get something out of it. So I was like, in my nonsense world, I look after my number one first. it is Nomsa. And I give a man a chance to pay his bit to support his child. Then if I fail, then I can go through the court route. Then I say I failed, but I said to them, I didn't come here for money. I came here for love. And this is the love that I want. And even when my ex fights me, I'll send him a message and say, you know what? We have a child. And this child, you're going to be a member of my family for the rest of your life, whether you like it or not. We now share a blood. So you can either fight me or you can be on my side. I can either fight you and be on your side. And he will reply and say, Nomsa, you are bonkers. I'm trying everything. I just give up. Okay. And I give up. And in the end, he realized actually it's not worth it. He realized that actually, and it was anger as well, and a fear of him on his own. And for me, basically, it was fear of me being on my own as well. So everyone is fearing, and you have friends that are telling you that, you know what, take the guy to court. You have a child with him. You can get this. And somebody will sit down and calculate. I was like, this is not what I need. And at that moment, and I realized the only person that I needed was a doctor. Went to a GP, and I was like, I don't feel too good. And the doctor laughed, and I was standing, I could not sit down. And it was like, sit down, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm going through some life-changing situation, and I feel like somebody has hit me in the head, and I feel like I'm fearing of the unknown. I don't know what is there. And he was like, what do you need? Medication? I was like, no medication. And I was like, I need somebody to talk to. And I was like, okay, I would send that as an emergency. I'm going to find you a therapist. A good one as an emergency. And he kept his word, Amanda, and and that helped me because I knew that I didn't need to fight. All I needed was help for me and my daughter. And I got that help. But I didn't get the help with the first therapist. I had the second one. I had the third one. And the last one got to my head. That's when I got the breakthrough. So I had the 10 section with this one, and I had the 10 section with a different one. And when I moved down here, I saw somebody else advertising. She was finishing her degree, and she wanted somebody to give therapy for free. 10 session. I was like, signed up. And I went to her, we talked with the fear of now I'm in this place, Amanda, where I need it. I don't know whether you had that situation where you have your ex is moved out. Now it's you and your daughter, and you're like, and then what? The fear. How did you cope with that?
My fear was more about like, is he ever going to sign? And is the fighting ever going to end? But there's definitely fears that go on and struggles. And I think that reaching out for help is something that's so important. Like you said, you went to 4 different psychologists till you found one that really worked well for you. And I had similar situation. Like I went to a number of different ones as well when I first got divorced. Some of them were just because they were free through work.
Yeah.
But then the lady that I ended up finding for my daughter is just so fantastic that I started seeing her too. And originally she was free through my work benefits, and then now she's switched to not being in that same thing, but I still I pay to go to her now because she's just so fantastic that there's definitely a reason why she's worth the money she is. And I think that that's something that people really need to understand too, that it's okay to ask for help. So
Yeah.
many people fear asking for help because they think that they're not, then it's showing weakness. And really, I think asking for
No.
help is a strength. If you have the ability to ask for help when you're struggling, that is a huge strength, because so many people just suffer internally without asking for help or thinking that they can do everything themselves. And really, you need to be able to ask for help. We all have different skills. We all have different abilities. We all have different times in our lives when we need help, and times in our lives where we're like, I got this. I can be that support for somebody else. Right? And when you can be that support for somebody else, maybe at a different time they'll be the support for you that you need. And I think that's how friendship works, and how
Yeah.
there's different professionals to help you as well at different points in time. That going and asking for help is a huge strength, and it shows maturity, and it shows your level of self. The other day I was speaking I said, like, I have an appointment with my psychologist, and my daughter was like, I don't need help. And the psychologist had like overheard Ella because it was a Zoom call. and she's like, Ella, everyone benefits from talking to somebody. It's not a weakness, it's a strength. And I was like, thank you, because that's what I always say, is like, but so many people, I don't know if it's that same stigma in the UK, but here there's like seems to be a stigma of like going to psychologists for help, and I really wish that would change and shift, because
It's the
I
same,
think
Amanda, everywhere. It's the same. It's the same. People see it as a weakness, but I think it is strength. Even men, they see that going to talk to someone, a therapist, is a weakness, but it's not.
no, and that's what I view it as too, as like, it is a strength. It is a strength to be able to talk out your stuff.
Yeah.
The things that you fear most deeply inside of you, to be able to have a professional help you like that. That is strength, because so many people just continue the same patterns over and over and over again, thinking that they're doing better, when really it's like you're in the same place a year later. Whereas if you go to a psychologist and you get help, or even a coach, you're going to go so much further in a year than you ever thought possible. Whereas if you just try to continuously do it yourself, it's this perpetual cycle of doing your same patterns over and over again. And when you can break those patterns, that's when the true strength comes in, and when your true abilities show up. And that's something that so many people don't realize, is that when you break those patterns, and when you dig deep within yourself about what those patterns are, and start to set clear boundaries and start to heal from within, you are going to come out so much stronger than you ever would have if you didn't go and get that support.
Yeah, it does help. I think here in the UK as well, when you go to a therapist, but I look at myself and I look at my friends as well. There's a big difference, and when it's like recognizing, like when I say I went to 4 people, and it wasn't because that person was so amazing. It's because my mind, I was ready to actually let go of whatever was in my head, whatever was basically troubling me at that moment. Because, when you enter a chapter, it's mostly relationship. We all believe that we're going to live happily ever after. And when that does not happen, and my mindset I wasn't aware of basically personal development. I was like lazy, doing things like a little bit, not too much. So I hadn't gone deep. But now, if I know what I know now, then I wouldn't have gone into depression and things like that. I would have accepted that people come and go when it comes to relationship. But then I didn't know it then. So now I'm aware that whatever, I'm okay with whatever happens in this chapter, I'm okay with it. Because when you are enter like life, like it goes to talk shows, you there are some speakers that come in and you can see that actually they're not interested in serving, they're interested with how many followers are it goes to talk shows and stuff. So I'm like, but you have to do the work. for anybody else to basically start taking you serious. And before I'll be fighting or arguing with people, but now I just say, you know what, God, I just pray, and so for so many things, and pray and accept it in my life that I'm never gonna fear this. I'm not gonna allow fear take control over my life, and I'm gonna see, like, when you meditate, you awaken your higher self basically to be aware of your surrounding. So that's what I do, and that's what helps me with the fear all the time. And when it comes to marriage, there are some people like Amanda, you say you have a psychologist. I have business coaches, and I'm surrounded by psychologists, and I'm a psychologist myself. So the only thing that I didn't have, although I'm a relationship coach, I did not have a relationship coach. So I made a decision that I need to have a relationship coach. So I got specific for a business event, people that deals with a relationship coach, and it has to be somebody who is good. Because no, I don't want to listen to somebody that is going to tell me what I want to hear. It has to be somebody that is really, really good. So I found this woman. I go to her, and I might take some courses just for me, basically. And I said to her, listen, I know that I'm a relationship coach, but when I come here, I come to you, I come as a student. So treat me like a student. I don't want you to treat me like I know the relationship. And even my attitude is like I'm a student, not because I fear or because of anything. I want somebody to teach me the things that I'm not aware, although I've already know it. But when somebody says it, you see it. It's like when you were speaking now. If I go back and watch the video, I'm learning something from you, and that's why I always have my notes. The way I write everything when somebody speaks, I have my notes. I write everything down, and so I love that. So I love being surrounded by people. Just being a student, I think is beautiful when you basically decide to be a student and follow, even if you know your subject very well. So for those who have fear, you have to identify the reason behind that fear. For me, basically, that's what helped me when I was going through challenges in my life, and not knowing the unknown, because tomorrow when you're going to make a decision to change the chapter in your life, you're going through the unknown. You don't know what's behind there, what you're going to face. You don't know. So then you need somebody, family members. I say stay away from family members when you're going through something. Find one person, family members, who speaks the truth, nothing but the truth, who's not gonna drag you into a feeling sorry club, where you start feeling sorry for yourself. Just have that champion, that person that is gonna help you, or have a coach. Basically find yourself a coach. If you can't find a good one, go to talk shows. We have good coaches, so you can find a good coach. If you're going through any challenge, just message us and let us know what you're going through, and you can go through. We can select one coach for you. And what else? Do you have anything to add, Amanda?
I think it's so important who you surround yourself with, especially when you're doing something that you fear, because when you surround yourself with people who have been through something like that, or who have overcome what you are trying to overcome, that's
Yeah.
the type of people that you want to surround yourself with, not people who, if you're going through a divorce, become friends with somebody who has gone through it but is like living their best life. Because those are the people that are going to help you grow and going to help you get to that next vibration of happiness and joy, and feeling good about the decision that you made. But if you surround yourself with people who are bitter about their divorce, then those are the people that are just going to drag you down, and you're going to be at that level of despair and anger and frustration. But if you can surround yourself with people who have embraced life and embraced those choices that they made and have made a better life for themselves. Those are the people that you want to connect with. And with coaching too, you want to connect with people who are successful. So if you want advice on finances, go to your richest friend. Talk to them about how they got to where. Don't talk to your other broke friend because they've got no clue. If you want relationship advice, don't talk to your other single friend. Talk to somebody who has an amazing relationship, a relationship that you're like, wow, like they truly work so well together to get to the space where they are such a good strong couple because they understand each other's strengths and weaknesses and have compassion for each other. Those are the people that you want to talk to. You don't want to talk to your single friend about relationship advice, right? And you don't want to talk to your bitter, angry divorce friend about divorce, because then you're just going to be as bitter and angry as they are. And that's like, well, your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you want to attract a tribe of highly successful and highly empowered people, then you need to step up to that, right? You can't stay down here. You need to step up and start associating with people who are going and doing exactly what they want to do, who've overcome their fears, who have pushed themselves through that terror barrier that I was talking about in the course that I am taking, and who have really overcome everything that, and they realize each time they overcome that next thing, there's going to be another terror barrier that comes in their way, and that little voice in their head that's saying, oh, maybe I can't, well, I achieved that, but maybe I'm not good enough for this. But then you'll achieve that past that next terror barrier, and you'll go to the next one and the next one and the next one. And we have to realize too that we're all human. And we all have fears, and we all have different emotions, and our emotions can change throughout the day, and depending on our sleep or depending on the moon cycles. I know as a teacher, when it's a full moon, it's like, oh, it's a full moon. The children are wild today. It's definitely what's happening in the cosmos, because that was a whew of a day. And so those things you really need to look to too is like, even if you are having a really crappy day, guess what? Tomorrow's a brand new day. Tomorrow is, you can shift, and or even in the next moment or hour or whatever. And sometimes you just need to rest and let yourself feel that anger, and then boot yourself out of that anger vibration and get back higher into a higher vibration of joy. But I really sometimes I struggle with how to talk to people about like feeling their anger but not sitting in it, right? So you can't just push your anger down and ignore it and pretend it's not there. You have to feel it, let it get through you, and then you'll get to the next space. Because if you just suppress it, that's going to cause more problems. But if you can feel it, acknowledge it, recognize it, and then be like, okay, how am I going to get through this? And that's when you'll get to the next step and the next level, and the next step on your journey of what you need to overcome in your fears.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amanda. Like I said before, subscribe to our channel and get in touch if you need to, please. And live with grace, everyone. And God bless you. We are here Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. See you soon.